This is section 4 of Messalina. Widespread knowledge of the affair prompts Narcissus to take action. Therefore, the emperor's household shuddered, and particularly those who held any power feared that the state might be overturned. Nevertheless, they had some hope that if they convinced Claudius about the enormity of the crime, Messalina could be condemned without a trial and overthrown. But there was a danger that Claudius might listen to her defence, or that his ears might not be closed to her, even if she confessed. Narcissus, looking for opportunities, since Caesar was delaying for a long time at Ostia, compelled two of his concubines, with bribery and promises, to submit an accusation. Then Calpurnia, that was the name of one of the two concubines, when she was given a secret audience, fell down at the knees of Caesar, shouted that Messalina had married Sidius. When the other concubine confirmed this, Calpurnia demanded that Narcissus be summoned. Okay, well, here's the text. Let's have a look at what we've got. So Tacitus opens the section quite dramatically with the phrase Domus Principis inhoruit, meaning the emperor's household shuddered, and he uses an enclosing order with the word for household, domus, and the reaction, inhoruit, enclosing this word, the emperor, right? This visually represents how Claudius is caught up in the middle of all this fear and panic that's happening in his own house. Right, it emphasises that the crisis directly relates to this man himself. And notably, we don't call him Claudius here, right? He is the emperor. Tacitus then continues by describing the fear of powerful freedmen with the phrase maximeque eiqui potentiam habebant timorant, so especially those who held any power feared. And he uses a general pronoun, right, to talk about them. Those people who held any power. Now, this probably refers to Claudius's close advisors, right? We're going to be name dropping one later, Narcissus, but other people, right? Other freedmen like Pallas. I think Tacitus does this to highlight how these advisors personally feared losing their influence if Messalina's scandal caused a bit of political upheaval. Okay, so a bit of a sort of vague reference to them here. Then we get a nice bit of symmetry that goes on, right? Symmetry in the positioning of some words. So he goes on to talk about Claudius and Messalina, and we'll see Claudio is here, Messalina here at the start of the next clause, right? And they are opposite ends of the phrase. The balanced placement visually suggests the conflict between them. The emperor and the empress now stand on opposite sides. Their fates are directly linked by this scandal. And it also highlights Claudius's reaction, what Claudius's reaction will be to Messalina's fate. Okay, so they're visually quite apart in the sentence. Then we've got, right at the end of this sentence, a word in key positioning again, damnatam, condemned, which I think is particularly emphatic. Tacitus places it prominently in the sentence. It draws our attention to the possibility of swift and ruthless action against Messalina, but also emphasises her vulnerability and how easily she could be removed without any sort of trial. What else does Tacitus do? Well, we get lots of abstract nouns that have this eo in the middle. So which ones have we got? We've got quaestione here, defensionem here. Do we have any of those? I think we have another one somewhere. Occasiones, delationem, right? The repetition that's going on with this eo creates quite a rhythmic effect, and it emphasises the formal and serious tone of this political intrigue. It adds a bit of tension to the scene, like this repeated syllable in a word. So eo, eo, eo. Then, okay, here we have Tacitus introducing the main man himself, Narcissus. Okay, he highlights a historically quite powerful advisor to Claudius. He's one of Claudius's freedmen, right? So a former slave now working for Claudius. Naming him directly emphasises just how influential this freedman could be. Right? It reinforces the impression that Claudius himself, as emperor, was weak and had to depend on people like Narcissus, a freedman, for action and for guidance. Okay. What else does Tacitus do? Well, he refers to Claudius as Caesar here. Okay, using a bit of variatio, where a different word is used instead of repeating an earlier one. So earlier we've had Claudio, we've had Principus, okay, all referring to Claudius, but just using different words. The variation keeps us as readers interested. It emphasises as well that Claudius's imperial status at this moment um, is quite is on the rocks. Okay, if Messalina gets what she wants, Claudius is going to be out. Okay, and then what does Tacitus do? Well, he explains that Narcissus compelled duas eius paelices, two of his concubines, right? This phrase down here, to accuse Messalina. We use a possessive pronoun, eius, right? Two of his concubines, to clarify immediately that these are Claudius's concubines, not Narcissus's. And I think this detail heightens the bit of the drama and irony, because Messalina's accusers are rivals for Claudius's affection, making their accusation particularly believable. And what else? Well, Tacitus also uses the phrase largitione et promises, so by sort of bribery and promises. Okay, this phrase here, whoops. This is an example of pleonasm, right? So using extra words or two words with similar meanings. It emphasizes, well, Narcissus' desperation. It shows us the lengths to which he's willing to go. He offers bribes and promises to secure Messalina's downfall. Really, we only need one word here to show what he's prepared to do. Instead, Tacitus gives us two. What else? Tacitus vividly describes Calpurnia, okay, the concubine. What is she up to? Well, ad genua Caesaris pro relata. What is she doing? She's falling down at Caesar's knees. Right, we get a visual image going on of her desperation and the urgency. Right, kneeling is a traditionally, a way to beg for mercy or favour. It emphasises the seriousness of her accusation against Messalina. So that's this bit here. So ad genua Caesaris pro relata. Then we get a little bit of what else is happening? Bit of direct speech, right, or rather indirect speech. Okay, she exclaimed that. What has she exclaimed? She's exclaimed that Messalina has married Silius. Right, the direct speech or the speech from her makes the accusation vivid. It's immediate and dramatic. It helps us feel like, as readers, we're witnessing events unfolding in real time. Okay. Notice how she doesn't just clamour, or she doesn't just clam at, she doesn't just shout, she exclamats, she exclaims, right? So adding on to this word here with the pronoun ex, not the pronoun. The prefix ex, what else? Look as well at what happens, right? Who's married who? Messalina has married Silius. Okay, she's the one in control, right? These two words are in juxtaposition or next to each other in a sentence. And it emphasises visually how shocking this union is between Messalina and Silius. Okay, even more so, right? He starts off this little clause here. What has she shouted? With the verb nupsisse, right? She had married. Okay, by placing the shocking action at the start of the phrase, Tacitus immediately emphasises the outrageousness of Messalina's behaviour. It forces us as readers to confront the scandal head on. Okay, what else? Well, finally, let's have a look at what he finally does. He names the concubines, right? So I suppose he's done it earlier on, right? So we get repetition of her name, Calpurnia. Here she is. There she is again. Like Calpurnia shares the name with Julius Caesar's wife, Julius Caesar, right, Roman dictator. And I think by using a historically significant name, Tacitus implies a theme of sort of scandal, adultery, political intrigue, all that stuff that echoes the chaos that surrounded Caesar's own life. So as readers, when we see the name Calpurnia, it gives us that sort of mental hint. Oh, this is the name of the woman who married Julius Caesar, right? He was surrounded by a lot of scandal. Maybe there's going to be a lot of scandal here. It adds a bit more, I don't know, irony and scandal to Messalina's downfall. That's probably it. Okay. Oh, what else? Right, final bit. Hold the horses. Right, what does she demand? Well, Calpurnia demands that Narcissus be summoned. We've got not just a freedman, right? Narcissus up here, you know, acting on behalf of the emperor, right, doing his work for him, a freedman. We've also got a concubine down here demanding, right? Finishing off with this verb. Should a concubine be demanding things of the emperor? I don't know. But it shows just how, I suppose, weak and how far Claudius has fallen, right? That he's allowing the courts, all right, his imperial household to be run by people like freedmen and concubines. That's probably it for this. There are some other things in there that you can pick out, right? If you take a look at the verbs, there are some historic presents, other little bits, but those are the main things that you get going on in this section.